Welcome in everyone. Just sharing the link real quick over on socials, over on Discord as well. And then we will officially be starting the live stream. But welcome in everyone. Welcome in KKX, JMac. One second. Welcome in Dave, welcome in Mike. I'm actually going to be pinning the Discord going forward in the live streams. For anyone that is not in the free Discord, you guys are more than welcome to join. Welcome in Heath, welcome in Meg. I have not had time to look up pretty much anything. I've been extremely busy as of lately. CTX is still pretty good. Welcome in Matthew. Yeah, Cryptix Finance. Most of the DeFi projects are going to take a little bit of time to really show any signs of life, simply because, you know, DeFi is just starting to get a little bit of a return to it. So we're just kind of still waiting on it. Welcome in Jeremy, JSW, Benjamin. Welcome in everyone. How's everyone doing? I know that it's a Monday. I get it, but how's everyone doing? It's a new week, new opportunities. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a pretty big week for crypto for sure. We have the FOMC meeting. On Wednesday, we're supposed to hear from the White House regarding the crypto reserve. So there's quite a bit of things to really kind of look forward to this week. It's going to be definitely an interesting time for price action, that's for sure. Welcoming Gear, Koof, Oliver, Benjamin, John. Welcome in, Mad Fresh, The Real J. Yeah, we're going to be starting the live stream here in a moment. Typically like to give it a little bit of time for everyone to jump in. I have a feeling there's no alt season. It's over. Bitcoin has topped. I'm probably wrong. Yeah. I mean, listen, you would probably be in the same crowd as most people out there that are looking at, you know, Bitcoin fighting 120K, saying the same thing. I have a question. Should I ask when there's 20 minutes left? No, you could ask whenever. It's not a problem. Yeah, we're going to be going over quite a bit of things. The main thing that I want to go over in this live stream is simply just, you know, talking about the price action that we're getting right now, seeing how things are performing. I know that XRP has been still kind of just ranging around like the low $3 region. A lot of altcoins right now are just kind of consolidating, and they are hitting the higher time frame resistance still, or trading at least around it, still kind of just rejecting off of it. It's going to be a little weak for a little bit of time. You know, that's like the main thing on why I wanted to really kind of do this live stream regarding altcoins today, because we are just in that consolidation phase where it is kind of boring, and any sort of, you know, drop on altcoins, people kind of start to panic a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, you know, right now, most people are just anticipating what the Fed is going to be saying on Wednesday. That's why we're probably kind of just consolidating into that. Even with Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think that they're still kind of waiting on what we hear from the Fed. I think that market makers are aware of how big these events actually are. And that's why volatility usually picks up into them, or like around these events. We've seen it since, you know, going all the way back to 2020 into 2021, or even prior. So, lower the damn rate. I mean, listen, the rate cut won't happen in July. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I don't see it happening. There's probably like a 5% chance that we get a rate cut decision in July. I see us pausing rates in July, with the rate cut happening in September officially. So September's mainly the month to look forward to when it comes to rate cuts. We typically see the Fed just kind of hold off until like the end of the year, and that's exactly what we're starting to see here as well. number one reason why we haven't seen any rate cuts in 2025 is because the beginning of the year we saw the trade war start up, right? The tariff discussions, there was a lot of news around it. So when we think about that, they had the perfect excuse on why not to cut rates. And now we're starting to see that kind of get phased out a bit, but I think it's just a little bit too, early to say, all right, well, the Fed doesn't have any more ammunition to use, so, they're going to cut rates. I still think that they hold rates Wednesday, and then in September, we finally get the rate cut decision. But yeah, it's definitely a huge week for sure. Even Davis saying earnings, jobs, Fed meeting, big week. Yeah, it's definitely a big one. Even Wednesday, we get the announcement from, the White House on the crypto reserves too. Let's take a quick look at how things are performing. So this currently is the outlook on, the crypto market. So this is the hourly. Right now, the hourly is still red for the most part. There's a few altcoins that are actually down significantly currently. I mean, some of these are down like -2%. Some of them, just around like -1%. Nothing too crazy. It's not like a major drop in the market or anything. But this is what the daily looks like as well. Will rate cuts impact price action negatively? I don't think so. I mean, listen, this entire year we haven't had a single rate cut, and we already know how the market has been performing, even with that. I mean, April we bottomed out officially. From April, we just continued to rally. And if we don't get a rate cut decision, will it impact the market in a negative way initially? Probably we get a nice little drop in the market. We get a slight pullback, which is why I keep saying, have some stablecoins on the sidelines parked on some exchanges for buying opportunities. But outside of that, I don't think that we have anything to worry about. It's not going to like kill the alt season or kill the bull run or anything like that. But it definitely will have, some sort of impact on the markets. But this is what the daily looks like. Some of these altcoins in terms of like meme coins are down, 10+%. We're in like the high single digit area on some of these altcoins. HBAR down 6%, Render down 7.1%, QNT down 8.2%. So there's some nice pullbacks across the board here, which we could utilize for our, opportunity in terms of, buying some more of these altcoins or averaging more in. Whatever the case may be, this is why we really kind of watch for negative price action to show up. A lot of people keep asking me when, the prices are skyrocketing, is now a good time to buy? And I always say no. There's never a good time to buy an altcoin that is up like 400+%, and especially when it's rallying, even higher. The best time to be buying altcoins or anything in this market is when the price action is boring or negative, or when nobody wants to actually be talking about crypto. So, for me personally, when I look at this market, the number one thing that I've been buying, and I even said this in the Discord many times, is I'm looking at altcoins that are very boring right now, that haven't moved much, that are not up 300+% in the last year. And those are the altcoins that we have yet to see pop in a big way. So right now, in terms of phase 2, because we are in phase 2 officially, we are looking at projects that haven't moved much at all. And QNT is a great example. Axler is also another great example of this as well. There's a lot of great opportunities out there in this market. You just really got to look at them, or at least, do a little bit more research and, look into some of them, because, again, we have them in front of us. A lot of people just don't like the price action, so they don't want to talk about it too much. Like QNT, I think that QNT is probably a great example of this, because this is a project that if we look at the 1 year, this is what the 1 year looks like. And you might be looking at this and saying, all right, well, QNT is technically pumping, right? Like we were down to $56 back here in November, and now we're at, over $100. It's basically pumped up, right? Not exactly, because if you actually look at the all-time chart for QNT, it's barely moved. In fact, it's consolidating in a long extended wedge, just waiting for it to, break out. Filecoin's also another one. If we think about Filecoin, this thing has been absolutely flatlined, just waiting for something. I seem to have lost access to the Discord. I would just try to rejoin Oliver. It should be, you should just be able to rejoin it. But But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great projects out there that have barely budged at all this cycle. I don't know about Uni, but I do know that some of these like DeFi projects have been pretty boring. Yeah, like Uniswap is down. It's still pretty boring. Even Algorand, right? Algo is another great project to look at. Even XDC as well. There's a lot of great altcoins that are just very, very boring. I'm not too sure. Oliver, maybe try to disconnect and reconnect your Discord on WAP if you're on like their website. Ondo. Ondo is still a great opportunity. I've been talking about Ondo for quite some time now. I mean, it's at around like $1. I think all-time highs like around $2 or $3, I believe. But yeah, if we look at the entire market here, market cap is down about 2% today. 3.87 trillion. Fear and greed around like 63. Altcoin season around like 39. We're probably just right now is the best time to just kind of do nothing. Just kind of sit back, relax, and just wait until this meeting is done on Wednesday. See what the Fed does. Again, I'm not expecting much at all from the Fed until September, but it's a good time to just kind of do nothing. It's the best thing to do at this point. And if you want to do something, the best thing to do is just kind of lock some stablecoins up on the sidelines on some exchanges, maybe get some, piled up, a decent stack. That way you could average in or, buy up some altcoins on the lows if we see any significant price action to the downside. Because again, Bitcoin still under 120K, sitting around 118K. Ethereum sitting around like 3,800. We just hit like 39, almost $4,000 on Ethereum. And, we don't know how the market's going to react to the Fed pausing rates, because I do believe that they're going to pause rates. I don't even think that there is, a 10% chance that we get a rate cut decision in July. So is the market pricing that in already? Is that why we're starting to see this nice little sell-off? We don't know, right? We can only take it one day at a time. But for me personally, main focus right now is stocks and how stocks actually react to what the Fed does this Wednesday. We are officially, currently speaking, about a day and 16 hours away from this FOMC meeting. And even if we look at this is from CME Group. Now, mind you, this is institutional players telling us what the chance of a rate cut is. They're only seeing a 3.1% chance. And this is based off of, previous years in terms of how the Fed has, done things. If we go back to 2024, we didn't get the rate cut decision until September, just like this time around as well. I think this is the same exact song and dance from the Fed. They have a lot more now to kind of go off of, to use as an excuse, than even back in 2024. So when we look at this, main thing, focus on September. Because even if we look at September here, 64.6% chance that we get a rate cut in September. Because again, this is exactly what the Fed does. They stall out until September. Then we get 3 rate cuts back to back towards the end of the year. And this will also help the market bounce in a huge way. So we might just see a very boring August. I'm not too mad about that, right? Enjoy the last month of summer. Take a little bit of time off. Go and do, whatever you want to do for fun. Just have a good time. And then come back in September and the market should be waking up in a big way. I still think that we see some positive price action in August, but everything is kind of looking like we are going to see a significant rally towards the end of the year just to kind of finish things out. And, going into 2026, I think that that's when we need to start getting a little bit cautious, because the liquidity cycle should top somewhere around 2026. We should see the markets kind of get wiped out a little bit. That should be the start of the bear market if we are going to see one, which I do believe that we do. And then we should have some buying opportunities, hitting the markets by the end of 2026 for us to accumulate even more. So my plan of action, taking some profits into the end of the year. Outside of that, preparing for some buying opportunities towards the end of 2026. Everything will align with quarter 4. Yeah, I completely agree. Welcome in, Elite Dark Lotus, by the way. How are you doing, man? Welcome in, Eric, Ross, Matt, Brian, Michael, Ivan, Jay Framix, I hope that I'm saying that name correctly. The Crow 74. Hugs from Brazil, welcome in. But yeah, no, I do think that everything's kind of aligning with quarter four for sure. Welcome in Potts as well. What up, what up? But yeah, the main thing that I'm watching with the Fed this Wednesday isn't so much Bitcoin, because again, Bitcoin really hasn't been following stocks too much. I would say if we're thinking about what, crypto has been following stocks more so in like the last month, I would say it's probably been Ethereum. I mean, this is what the 1 year looks like. We still have yet to actually break over the 2024 highs back here. But Ethereum has been rallying, which is very good to see. It's always the next month. I wouldn't say so. I mean, I make quite a bit of content on this channel, obviously, and the thing that a lot of people will say in like the comments when I'm talking about like a next month sort of thing is that they're like, oh, it's always next month. Oh, it was, June, now it's July, now it's August, now it's September. The thing is that back in March and even April, what did I say? I said it so many times over that a lot of people kind of got sick and tired of me saying it. I said July. July was when we were going to start to see altcoins boom. Guess what? Look what happened in July. Let's take a quick look at what happened in July for XRP, for SUI, for XLM. We'll even pull up HBAR, right? When we look at the 1 year chart at end of June into the beginning of July, XRP skyrockets. Again, SUI, end of June into July, SUI skyrockets. XLM, end of June into July, XLM skyrockets. HBAR, same story. I kept saying July was going to be a huge month for crypto and altcoins, and July was. Now, because of how great July was, we cool off a bit. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks. We do not know how long this cool off period will be, but guess what? It's healthy. It's something that's needed. We need to reset sentiment. Sentiment has been very bullish because of how great July was. It's not me pushing things the next month or, oh, we have to wait this long. No, I always said that July was going to be the big focus. July came. It was great. It was huge. Now we look at August. The August time frame, when we think about it, the first half of August will most likely be boring if we are going to consolidate a little bit longer. Towards the end of August into the September timeframe, we should start to see some very bullish price action form again. That's my thought process here. Nothing changed. I'm not pushing things out. It's not me saying, oh no, next month. Oh no, next month. Oh, this month came. No, it's the next month. No, I have not done that. And I don't understand where this idea comes from, where people think, it was always next month. It was always next month. No, I've always been dead set on July being a very big month for crypto and altcoins. And I even said that on X as well. If I actually open up a new tab real quick and I go to X, I even posted it on X as well. So let me go to, here's the post that I posted in the premium side of the Discord. This goes back to April, by the way. Just to bring up, facts. I was going off of the time frames here, right? We were looking at the time frames for Bitcoin. I talked about the average time frame for the bear markets. I said if we top in January 2026, we should bottom around the middle of 2027. Top in September, then it could be January of 2027. Again, we're just kind of going off of when the market would top or, potential topping points. But I did say that alt season starts in July, in my opinion, because we were going off of that 1,096 day time frame on Bitcoin dominance selling off. We got the sell off in the beginning of July for Bitcoin dominance. We technically started to get weak towards the end of June. So it was the perfect, I mean, this couldn't align more, perfect than what we were looking at. Obviously, this is not me saying, oh, look I was right. I'm just saying this is what I was saying throughout the entire time of April into, even May. And then I took the trip in May. And I even said while I was on my trip that, this is still the focus. But yeah, like I was saying before, the main focus here for me when it comes to the Fed meeting with the FOMC is I'm watching to see how stocks react to the Fed meeting, because right now this is what I'm looking at with the S&P 500. This is my prediction, because we are nearing, a big psychological level here on the S&P, which is around 6,500, right? And so far, there hasn't been any major signs of weakness when it comes to stocks. So I'm definitely watching to see this next rally happen on the S&P. Now, I do think that we will start to kind of have that sell-off back down into like a demand zone. We already have, some nice demand on the daily right around this range here, which is why I do have that nice little, deep V-wave sort of reaction to this demand zone. And then we have the recovery. But I'm still thinking that stocks continue to be very bullish towards the end of this year. The main thing is that we're really kind of looking for the 6960 target to be tapped. We'll probably hit it, sell off a little bit, and then skyrocket above it. And that should be our last major wave on stocks. Let us know what you, between price range, Casper can hit this bull run. I've already given my thoughts on Casper so many times. So how many months would you guess we have before the bear market, give or take? Well, if we are thinking about alt season officially starting now, then it would be about 3 to 6 months. So technically speaking, we would be looking at sometime around, I would say that alt season hasn't officially started just yet, right? We started to see a nice spike on altcoins, but we have yet to actually see Bitcoin dominance get completely wiped out, or even the Bitcoin dominance and the Ethereum dominance chart really kind of lose crucial support. So I wouldn't say that we just have 3 to 6 months left from this point. I would say, towards the end of August, we'll have a lot more information to go off of. But I would say the end of this year into February, maybe even March of 2026. So we still have a little bit of time for sure. Been very patient. It's time you look into ZBCN. A lot of people keep telling me about it. Again, like I said, once I have some more information, once I have a little bit more time to go over the information on it, and really kind of gather some info, and I'll actually do a video on it. That's when I'll start really looking into it for sure. But right now, the main thing is that I just don't have enough time to look into the project deeply. This market isn't for the weak. Many that do the complaining are the ones that haven't truly invested 5 figures or will get wrecked, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, listen, I do agree. This market definitely is not an easy game to play at all. This is a market that, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of going through the darkest times to see what happens after sort of, idea, right? Like you really have to experience the worst parts of crypto. And I feel like we've kind of gone through that, right? We go back to COVID, we go back to even FTX imploding and Luna imploding. Like these were like extremely dark times for crypto. But, if we go back to March of 2020, that was a time in the market where people just thought that crypto was done, right? I mean, you got to think about it like this. The market cap during that time, and let me actually just pull up a chart real quick. Let me use the stock chart because we already kind of went over stocks. If we look at the total market cap of crypto, and let me just throw this on the 3-week time frame, right? Let's go back here. So, crypto topped out back in 2017, 2018 at about a $760 billion market cap. That's right, a $760 billion market cap. Today, I mean, that's nothing, right? We're at $3.83 trillion. During the COVID time, we were down to $108 billion in market cap for crypto. I mean, think about that, $108 billion in market cap. So we were still very early in crypto during this time, and everyone thought, that's it. It's done. It's over. Like it's like a lot of people thought that crypto was done. And then what happened was from those lows, we rallied, 2,700 plus percent. $2.9 trillion was added to the crypto market. So think about that, right? And again, during this time, there's a lot of people that were extremely terrified. They were saying Bitcoin down to $1,000. Oh, Bitcoin's going here. Bitcoin's going to zero. I mean, we've heard some crazy things during that time, and the markets were extremely fearful. So to get through those types of, events and get through all of that fear, it really allows you to get ready for anything that can hit this market going forward. And with increased adoption, I mean, listen, this market is at $3.83 trillion. This is a completely different market today than back in 2020 into 2021 or even 2017, 2018. And, again, crypto just continues to evolve, and it will continue to evolve. I mean, is this a mass sell-off? That's the thing. Like, I don't see this as a mass sell-off at all. I mean, yeah, are we seeing a nice little drop in the market? Sure. I mean, if we look at this is a 2% loss of market cap. I don't think this is a mass sell-off. I mean, we're down 1.76% on Ethereum, down almost 1% on Bitcoin. I mean, altcoins, yeah, they're down like 4%, 3%, but this really is not a mass sell-off at all, in my opinion. Mass sell-offs are like 30 to 50% plus drawdowns, which we will see. Altcoins will lose 30 to 50% at some point in time during this bull run. I mean, some of these moves on like even XRP, right? Like, if we think about what happened from January, and this is exactly why so many people were so upset during, the beginning of 2025, XRP lost 50 plus percent. Like, this would be a mass sell-off, in my opinion. Nick, how are they trying to shake out retail investors if this is all they got? What do you mean exactly? But yeah, I mean, so far, even XRP from the highs that it recently hit, we dropped about 18.72%. Like, they're barely selling. I mean, listen, I feel like there's not a lot to shake out. Like, what's crazy about this market right now, okay? The craziest part about crypto at this current stage is that there's not that much retail focus on crypto still. Like, yeah, is there more retail investors in this market now than, say for so, 6 months ago, 12 months ago? Yeah, sure. But the thing is that most of these moves that we've witnessed in this market is actually not driven by retail investors. It's actually driven by institutional players. So who are they actually shaking out at this point? There's not a lot of hands to shake out because not a lot of hands are actually a part of this space currently. We are still high compared to last year. Yeah, definitely. That's, zooming out is so crucial for sure. Yeah, but they're not shaking us out. These fluctuations are minor. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, we're not, like, we already got past the major shakeout phase. Yogi Bear, I just haven't looked into ZBCN all that much. I've every single time that I do a live stream, I keep seeing people bring up ZBEC and ZBCN. The thing is that I've mentioned it many times over. I just need a lot more time to really kind of look into these projects. And right now, between, some content that I'm planning, some of the things that I'm, looking into, and some of the things that I'm planning for even the Discord, it's just taking a lot of time, especially right now with, preparing, because I'm actually having a baby in November, so I'm just preparing a lot of things and getting things prepared for that. So it's taking a lot of time away from, just work in general. But yeah, the thing is that the main focus with these shakeouts is that we already witnessed the shakeout event, right? Like that's the craziest thing about, the shakeout is that we already witnessed it. If we think about XRP to the point where we were sold off to this recent move, it was 171 days of just a downtrend, which was 50+% of a loss of value. Okay. And it was also just very boring price action. Thank you everyone for saying congrats as well. Hey, congratulations, Red Pill. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm already kind of used to no sleep at this point. I have not, I mean, the last like 12 months or last 24 months, I mean, sleep has just not been my friend for sure. I appreciate it, guys. But yeah, no, Red Pill, this is what I was talking about. Like, we've already had the big shakeout event. That's why most people that were here back in like November and even back in December as well, like they're all gone. A lot of people just got completely wiped out. ICP news. There's a lot of ICP news actually. They've been doing some great stuff for sure. I've been focused on the network itself and the network stats. They've been growing, and the network itself has been being utilized in a huge way as well. So yeah, ICP is definitely still bullish for sure. Yeah, Telcoin will definitely be a huge player in this market. I feel like a lot of people just kind of overlook it. Nick, which wave is the most explosive during alt season 3, 4, or 5? Well, the thing is, and I think that I have this in the Discord. Let me just check real quick because I've talked about it here and there in terms of like when we actually see alt season. So I actually don't have it in the Discord. I thought I did, but the main thing about the waves in the market, we're in wave 2, right? So alt season wave 2 is Ethereum, which is why for the most part Ethereum has been performing very well. Ethereum is trying to break $4,000. We have yet to actually see it. Wave 3 is when we start to see the large cap projects start to really go crazy. Okay, so wave 3 and wave 4 are like the biggest parts of the cycle, with wave 5 being like the last major push to the upside. We got a $10 super chat from Dustin Tutt. Welcome in, man. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, man. We also got a $2.80 Canadian dollar super chat. Actually, please talk about ZBC, and many ask, but you avoid it. I don't avoid it. It's just that I've gone over this. If I have to answer this one more time, I think it's like I sound like a broken record at this point. I just don't have the time to look into all of these projects. That's the main thing. Like it's the idea that it takes a lot of time to actually do solid research and look into everything around it. Right now, like my days consist of me doing research on the YouTube channel, and then updating the Discord group as well, and then also preparing for the 3 live streams per week that we're doing now. So like it's just a content overload at this point. What was the last project you researched solidly? I would say it's kind of a toss-up. It's a toss-up between either Ondo or Axelar. I think Axelar is more recent. I really started to do a lot more research on Axelar back in 2024, and then this year, the main thing that I was looking at with Axelar this year was just how it enabled the EVM sidechain and what it will do for the DeFi part of the XRP ledger. Telcoin for the next bull run? No, I think Telcoin does very well this bull run as well. if you say it's finally here day after day, eventually it'll be correct. I'm not too sure what you mean, Sigma Crow, because again, I've gone over this many times over, even in this live stream, that I said that July was going to be the time that everything starts, and so far I've been right on the money with it, so I'm not too sure what you mean, man. Phase 2 has been here for, I would say, probably about 2 weeks. We've just been seeing it brew in a big way, and I think that once Ethereum really starts to break over this $4,000 level, I think people will really kind of wake up to just how big this next phase will actually be. Because we're just in the beginning of phase 2. But it's here. I mean, I think that that's pretty clear just looking at how Ethereum has been performing compared to Bitcoin. If we look at crypto bubbles and we scroll down, if we look at the last month, I mean, Ethereum is up 55.9% compared to Bitcoin's 10.1%. I came in late, but did you say Casper or Casper? Somebody asked about Casper. Do you think there's a chance for no capital gains tax to be removed maybe 2026? The thing about it is I just don't see them removing capital gains tax. And I really look at this from a perspective of like, all right, they keep pushing crypto. The thing is that if they're going to keep pushing crypto and they think that it's going to be big, it's going to be a big success, why would they get rid of capital gains tax if they know it's going to make them a ton of money? Another 280 Canadian dollar super chat from Robert. Always same answer, poor excuse, losing respect. Listen, Robert, that's fine if you want to lose respect, you know, because I have so much going on, but it's simply the fact that I have a lot going on. I mean, everyone that's in the premium side of the Discord knows how much time that I take to actually update the Discord. I'm recording, 2 videos a week for the Discord, updating charts in the Discord as well, providing list of altcoin gems to look at. It takes a lot of time. And then I'm also uploading 3 videos per day on the YouTube channel, as well as doing an hour-long live stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you think it's a poor excuse, then hey, that's on you, buddy. Let me see. Tips for people in their first bull run, other than the obvious of buy and hodl. I would say, I mean, the main thing about like this being your first bull run is just understand that there's going to be major volatility. All right. And if you're excited about the price action going crazy to the upside, just know that volatility works in both ways. We will see volatility on the way down as well. So I would say just be prepared for very emotional trading days. Be prepared for the significant downward price action swings as well. There's going to be liquidations. Avoid using any leverage trading. Buy hodl. Make sure that you have a cold storage device as well. Learn cold storage. Learn everything that you possibly can about crypto as well before you even put $1 in, because there's definitely a lot to learn for sure. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and you should be fine. Let me see. Yeah, phase 2, whenever the technicals of XRP don't make sense, I just look over at ETH. It's like if ETH is just tugging XRP along, it's like gold versus silver. Yeah, I mean, the main thing about Ethereum right now is that it's leading the charge. Just like Bitcoin led the charge, Ethereum is now leading the charge. And then after Bitcoin and Ethereum, we look at altcoins. I mean, it's the same exact thing, right? Bitcoin pumped, Ethereum pumped, altcoins are next. I appreciate it, Mike. Do you think XRP has made a bottom on the lower time frame? I'm going to be looking at XRP here in a second. Nick, we love your unwavering love for Casper, Axeler, and Telcoin, etc. That's why we are very tough on you with ZBCN. Yeah, I mean, it's just that you know, it takes a lot of time and a lot of research with any project to really kind of talk about. I don't want to give you guys just nonsense when it comes to any of these projects. We got a $10 super chat from Matt Wilson. Love your channel and consistent Hedera coverage. Hey, I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you so much. Hi, Nick. Congrats on the baby. Do you think that we will retest the $3 XRP mark before we go up again? I think that's definitely a possibility. We're going to look at it here in a second. Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing about hearing about these types of projects. Like, I already made it a note to look at ZBCN at some point in time, but hearing so many people constantly talk about it, constantly tell me like, hey, you need to look at this, you need to look at this, it just kind of makes me like feel obligated to have to look at it. And usually when I keep hearing about the same project and I keep like hearing all of this hype about the project and, you know, all this kind of stuff, it makes me think like, you know, the project is kind of running off of hype and speculation. I mean, obviously, I don't think that's the case. It's just that, you know, hearing about it every single time that I do a live stream, like I already heard about it enough times to have a note of it. Like I have the note to look at it once I get a little bit of time. It's just, you know, I didn't have to hear about, you know, XRP to talk about XRP. I didn't have to hear about HBAR to talk about HBAR. It's just that these projects were constantly showing up with all of the announcements, with all of the partnerships, with all of the connections, and it just made me do my research on it. With ZBCN, you know, every single time that I hear about ZBCN, it's about it, you know, pumping or doing this. That's like, you know, not really correlated to any partnership or announcement or any sort of ecosystem expansion. But yeah, if we look at XRP, you know, this is what XRP currently looks like, right? So when we look at the XRP chart, this is on the 3-day. This is what the daily looks like as well. And let me actually just remove everything real quick off of this chart just to kind of keep it pretty clean. So when it comes to XRP, the main thing that I'm focused on with the daily is the structure. Okay. So currently speaking, on the daily, we have a high up here. Now we have a lower high. We have a low. The question is, do we make a lower low? If this is going to be the case, then we're looking at XRP being an bearish structure. So there's still a possibility that we hit $3. There's still a possibility that we hit the mid $2 region before we even pump again. And I know that a lot of people will not like to hear that, but if we lose this $2.96 level, okay, we can easily retest the previous highs. The previous highs are right around like $2.60. This is still, you know, a big possibility. That's why we're focused on, you know, the recent lows being hit, and we need to hold this $2.96 level roughly. And it's actually a little bit lower as I zoom in here. It's like right around $2.96 exact. But the structure here on XRP on the daily does look pretty weak here, simply because we are creating lower highs. And, you know, right now, this is what the 3-day structure looks like. So this is not the best overall look for XRP. But if we zoom out and we look at the higher time frame structure, like on the weekly, for example, you know, we're already trading right around those previous highs in terms of like the macro. And we're also in a bull flag formation. So we could just kind of continue to tap this like $2.96 level. We could actually close right around it as well on the weekly, form support on that level, and then we could start to go crazy, because we could easily turn these highs, right, that were recently resistance into support. That way we just kind of retest it and then continue higher off of those highs. We've done that in the past as well, and it's, you know, typical healthy price action. We just got a huge $50 super chat from Michael319222. Nick, thanks for all you do. Been watching and your research since the depths of the bear market. Here's a thank you and best of luck for the next 6 months. Cheers. Guys, can we got to get some love from Michael in the chat real quick. That is a massive super chat. I appreciate the support. I also appreciate the fact that you've been sticking around since the depths of the bear market. It's definitely not been it hasn't been easy. I mean, Michael, you know as well as I know, the bear market was pretty rough. So I appreciate that for sure. Thank you so much for the love and the support, Michael. W's in the chat for sure, man. Shazam, do you mean the death cross? Because the death cross typically is just when the MACD crosses and we typically have a sell-off. But yeah, no, I mean, XRP doesn't look too bad here on the weekly. It's just that we might have a little bit more downward pressure on XRP before we start to have that big pump to the upside. It also really is determined by what Bitcoin and Ethereum do next. And I know that you guys probably hate me saying that, but you know, Bitcoin dominance is still trying to break above this like 61.9% level. Bitcoin dominance and Ethereum dominance are also gaining quite a bit of strength here as well, which means we definitely need to be focused on both of these. Now with Bitcoin, you know, there's still a possibility that we get this wipeout back down to like 112K. This is what I mean with XRP, right? So I just talked to you guys about how XRP could retest these previous highs once again before we get that big break to the upside. That's exactly what we're looking at with Bitcoin as well, where we do have that retest of the May 22nd 3-day wick. This is around 112K. We retest that, then we go crazy to 130K plus. If we're going to do this, then I'm also focused on Ethereum possibly retesting, you know, this major demand zone. And you guys can see the demand going all the way back to 2024. We retest this. This is around like $3,000. It would be a significant sell-off on Ethereum. It would wipe out sentiment a little bit more. Then we get that, you know, retest of $4,000 because this is macro resistance, by the way. This is a major higher time frame resistance level. We would retest that, reject, turn this red zone into, you know, support essentially, which is also major highs back in, you know, the beginning of the year. Then we have that big breakout above $4,013. We go on a massive tear to like 5K plus. We break, you know, the 2021 all-time highs, go into price discovery, and that's when Ethereum really goes on a crazy run up. But that's essentially what we would be looking at currently, and anything's possible with this week being such a huge week for finance with the FOMC meeting, with all of the, you know, updates as well. So, you know, that's why we're just kind of, you know, focused on, you know, the market having a potential sell-off. But outside of XRP, also HBAR, this is what HBAR looks like. Again, just higher time frame resistance, still trading in the red zone. We really want to get a big break above, you know, that wick back in March. This is like right around 29 cents almost. So breaking over this, getting a 3-day candle close above it would put HBAR on the map to having that move to like 40 cents, which is exactly what we want to see. I mean, every HBAR holder has just been waiting for this. That's why I keep saying like altcoins right now are just in consolidation. And we'll probably have a nice little bit of consolidation, might even have a nice little downtrend form on some of these charts, have a nice little sell-off, another, you know, quick little opportunity to buy these altcoins on a little bit of a low right before they go crazy, which is why I titled this saying, you know, altcoin consolidation before price explosion. Good evening, Nick. Once we start hitting the bear market for XRP, is there a project you'd recommend I research that may have upside potential during that time? Thank you for all you do. Typically in the bear market, it's not just based around one altcoin. The bear market will wipe out pretty much the entire market regardless of the fundamentals. So, you know, during that time, we just really kind of lock in on utility-based projects because I do believe that the next cycle will be fully utility-based. So this will probably be the last typical crypto cycle. And then, you know, 2020, people are saying 2027, 2028. We don't know when exactly it will happen, but it seems as though the next phase will be all based on utility and, you know, legitimate projects. So that's where we look at projects like HBAR, XLM, XRP, XDC, Algo. We look at QNT, you know, Axler, Ondo. Those like are the types of projects that we're really kind of looking at. Where does HBAR go in a utility? I believe that you meant race. I I mean, these projects, it really all just depends on how much adoption they get and how much utilization there is. If we're thinking about tokenization being trillions and trillions of dollars, you know, the upside potential on a lot of these networks, they could be valued at trillions of dollars in market cap. So that's what we're really kind of mainly looking at. How about Cardano? I haven't really been a huge fan of Cardano. Even back in 2021, you know, I was still looking at Cardano and it just seemed as though the ecosystem was pretty boring. There wasn't a lot of, you know, major projects that were launching on Cardano. And the biggest thing about Cardano back in 2021 was them lying about, you know, them powering like Africa payments. They were actually not even being adopted at all in Africa, even though they were using that as like a sort of hype narrative. Kirk, there's not been a lot of like Casper updates. Like there's been, you know, some moves being made, but for the most part, like the main thing about Casper and the main lack of updates with Casper on the channel is simply there hasn't been enough to really talk about with Casper. But no, Casper's not dead. A lot of people think that Casper is dead, but it's just like it's basically like any project that has like a major wipeout or, you know, some sort of crazy event. Like Algorand, I've talked about Algorand many times on the channel, right? If we go back to Algo real quick. So let me just grab Algo on the chart. So I talked about this many times over. Algo during this time, everyone thought Algo was dead, made an all-time low, completely sold off. Nobody wanted to give it the time of day, kind of consolidated, started to break out. Everyone's still kind of ignoring it, broke down. Again, we have a higher low scenario on the macro. Then we get a higher high and we broke out in December of last year. Now, did it make a crazy new all-time high? No, we're still kind of looking at some of these higher targets up here in terms of like the fib retracements. You know, I still think that we hit $1 plus, almost $2 on Algo. So I don't think that Casper is dead. I think that we're kind of in the same scenarios like Algorand, for an example, where we hit an all-time low. We had like a crazy black swan event hit Casper. Everyone's kind of giving up on it, and it's at a time where, you know, we should probably be looking at it and saying, all right, well, is anything changing with it? Is anything changing with it? Are they continuing to push any updates? Is the team actually doing, you know, better than the previous team? Yeah, they are. So I mean, yeah, we really do wish Algo would be performing a little bit better, but you got to remember this, right? We're now finding support back on macro lows from October of 2020 before we ran all the way up to like almost $3. So Algo is not doing too bad here. And on this next run up, if we can clear those 2024 highs of like 61 cents, then we should have a breakout very similar to this time on Algo, where we do run up to like almost $2 again. And Algo could still hit $5 to $10. I mean, the market cap for it is not outrageous with all of the numbers that they've been putting up. So Algo is still pretty, it's still a pretty bullish project. With, you know, Casper, the thing about Casper is that like everyone just kind of looks at the chart and says that it's dead. But if we look at this chart, just based off of, you know, CoinMarketCap's chart, we have this significant all-time low back here in November before we ran up to like 2.5 cents, nothing too crazy. Then we have another low in April, which is also a higher low on the macro. This high here was just retesting the highs that we hit back in 2024. And now we also created another higher low. So as long as we hold this low that we recently created in the middle of June, which is like right around almost like 1 cent, we should be fine. So I still think that the setup here on Casper isn't too bad. I think that the chart for most people looks horrible, which it definitely does. But on the lower time frame structure, if we are looking at it from like, you know, the end of 2024 to now, the chart doesn't look too bad. Also XLM, you know, XLM hitting higher time frame resistance, probably selling off, having a nice little, you know, range here before we break out. SUI has been doing pretty well. We already kind of retested this trend line. I still think that we tap it, you know, fully before we get this big break. But yeah, I mean, all of these projects, all of these altcoins right now, they're just consolidating. So I've just been waiting, for altcoins to really break out, which we won't see them go crazy until that phase 3 part of the cycle, which, we're in phase 2. It's the beginning of phase 2. Let's see what happens over like the next, month or two. But altcoins have so far been, performing pretty well. July was a huge month for altcoins. I think Ethereum steals the show in August probably, and then by September we should see altcoins go crazy again. We got a $5 Canadian dollar super chat from Yogi Bear. ZBEC network uses a buyback and burn mechanism on ZBCN cards. Buybacks are correlated with ZBEC cards. Fantastic new partnership with Algo. Yeah, I'll have to look into it for sure. I appreciate the $5 Canadian dollar super chat though. Thank you for the support. We just got another $20 super chat actually from Micah CM Kovic. I hope that I'm saying that name correctly. So what are your thoughts on Ondo then? You have any price targets to start taking profits for XRP? I'd like to take some profits because life, but people act like you're a fool for taking any profits below $10 to $20. I'm actually very bullish on Ondo. I think it's a blue chip RWA tokenization player in the space. They are trying to do Wall Street 2.0 with tokenization and really kind of bring these markets on chain. They've been absolutely killing the game. They've been a very, very solid project. It's a blue chip. So, Ondo is definitely a great project to look into. In terms of taking profits on XRP, I would say, get your initial investment out, at like a 2x plus, and let the rest ride. And, whatever targets you have set in mind where you can take like maybe 10, 15% out, then just have like a plan that you stick to. But outside of that, I don't think anyone's a fool for taking profits. I think taking profits are just a part of the game. I always say keep a significant amount on the sidelines. Have a target, right? Like have an amount of XRP that you are just never willing to part ways with, and just keep that on the sidelines. Nick, do you use any crypto credit cards? I don't really use, crypto credit cards. I just don't see the use. Like I think like earning back rewards is cool and all with crypto, but I've earned so many rewards on just like my regular credit cards that I could just utilize and, buy crypto with if I wanted to. Yeah, I do think that if you hold XRP, you should be looking into Ondo and Axler for sure. They're two great projects that are kind of like a part of the XRP ecosystem anyways. So I definitely think people should be looking at it. Yeah, I do think, again, right now we're in the ETH phase. Altcoins are next, which is why I think that altcoins kind of consolidate before that big run up in the market. Sologenic and Corium are two, ecosystem projects tied to XRP as well. George, I think that they're good for sure. A little bit of a higher risk compared to like Ondo and Axler, though. I will say that. Well, guys, we are coming up on that 1 hour mark for the live stream. We'll definitely be back on Wednesday. We have Wednesday and Friday, and Wednesday is definitely going to be an interesting one because we should have the price data to go off of with the FOMC meeting. And we should have a lot more to really kind of go off of in terms of just like the price charts themselves. But so far, listen, we should just be ready for any volatility that hits the market on Wednesday. We might just be selling off into the FOMC meeting, and then we'll probably pump after the FOMC meeting and throughout the rest of the week. Again, we have to take it one step at a time here, but Wednesday we'll know a lot more. We'll have a lot more information. We'll know exactly what the Fed does. My prediction, they pause rates. We get the cut in September. And, from that point on, the markets do continue to go crazy. But it's been a great time. I want to say a quick thank you to everyone that did drop a super chat in the chat today. I appreciate all of you, every single one of you that stopped by as well to show, love and support. I can't thank you guys enough. We got another $20 super chat from Micah. Do you have a general time frame when you think we should start considering existing the market or exiting the market, I assume? I have my first sell order at $6, but I'm starting to wonder if I should cancel it now, just trying not to mess this up. I mean, realistically speaking, $6 is not a bad level to have, a sell off or have like a sell target. I say probably my best guess would be like the end of this year into like quarter 1 of 2026 being the part where like we start to really kind of see the market have, potential issues because of the liquidity cycle ending. So I'm just kind of following the liquidity cycle at this point, Micah, but I appreciate that $20 super chat to really kind of wrap things up. But all right, guys, listen, I want to say quickly, thank you to everyone for stopping by. Thank you to everyone that's been enjoying these live streams with us as well, joining in the chat, dropping in some messages as well. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate all of the support. Without you guys, this channel would absolutely be nothing. So, thank you to everyone out there. Thank you for everyone that stopped by. Thank you for everyone that, dropped a super chat as well. You guys seriously mean the world to me. So, I can't wait for this cycle to really hit big for altcoins, because I do think that everyone will be very happy at that time, and it's definitely going to be a good time for all of us. So thank you, everyone. I hope that you guys did enjoy the live stream and also the video as well. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, Nick, thanks for watching. Peace out.